So if we look at those two setups, very, very distinct differences there we can hopefully see. Obviously, this is your before setup, which basically looks like you're doing a full shot. And there are some good things there in terms of that setup. We talked in the past about kind of getting the lead arm and the club nicely in line, getting into that lowercase y. Brilliant, yeah. Nice ball position, generally a good start position if you were trying to hit it 100 plus yards, yeah. And then in terms of how far the club was going back, you were creating probably about 70 or 80 yards of power. Well, now you've got to start doing a lot of adjusting on the way down. Now, I always use the example, if you're going to try and throw a ball to, I mean, your bag over there, 10 foot away, it'd just be a small little backlift and throw through. You wouldn't stand there kind of like a baseball pitcher and then try and sort of softly shot put it to them, which wouldn't be a very accurate throwing motion, would it? Okay, so if you're trying to sort of take power off, what we're going to see now, and this is going to be sort of seen in the video, that your body's going to sort of start dropping down here, backing up this to try to get under the ball to try to help it up in the air. So
the mud, if I had more power, it's going to slice through.
Exactly, yeah. And again, that's sort of
when I do soft ones,
oh yeah. Well, the thing is, if you slow the swing down with the arms, gravity now is going to be more the powerful force. The club's going to come down more, which is in some ways a good thing for certain type of shots. We want to have a full swings, okay, as the body rotates. But if we swing a golf club now and you see your head kind of trying to get underneath that ball, that's trying to sort of scoop underneath it, it's going to make it very difficult for you to control that strike. Your low point's generally going to be somewhere there. If the ball was kind of somewhere in this position, you're hitting the ground behind the ball. Now, what happens if you're hitting the ground behind the ball here and your low point is there, as you get to the golf ball now, that club's rising up. So you'll either top it or scull it across the green or hit the ground there where that red line is, and then you get a face full of mud. Yeah, your divots, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. When you make a divot at the moment, it's a bad thing. Yeah, exactly, yeah. What we've got to try and do, you can see, you're getting a smaller setup there now. By bringing that right foot in now, it's actually put the ball further back in your stance. It's put your torso in front of the golf ball, yeah? So now your low point is more likely to be past the ball. So then when you swing back now, we swing back a little bit shorter. You go a little bit further, to be fair. That's probably a bit, that's not too bad, to be fair. That's about 50 yards where we want to be going, okay? And then as we swing through, we're going to swing through the ball. So our torso now is rotated towards target. The club hasn't kind of flipped over our head excessively with a lot of wrist angle, okay? And this movement here now, you can see sort of a nice twist of the torso there. You can sort of see the brown, the white of your jumper there, sort of twisting around there nicely, and that ability to rotate. Really good strike point now. I mean, your hands are in front of the golf ball. The ball launching off that club face now with a really nice high-flighted, softer floating shot, which again, when we want to go over things, is what we're looking for, yeah? If you wanted it, the ball lower, you could take the 7 or the 8 or the 9, but this will still be the same technique, yeah? You're playing the same technique, you're just changing the club for what you've got to do. Now, when you had this technique on the left-hand side, you could play that 7 or 8 or 9 and sort of almost like scull it, top it, run it along the ground for the most part. It would work. But then trying to get the ball up in the air, it just wouldn't work. So you're very limited to what you can actually play. You can either get over the bunker by just whacking it really far, and then you're on the other side of the green, or you just thin it into the bunker or duff it into the bunker, yeah? Or you're forced to then go round the bunker, which again is adding a shot to your game, yeah? And if you're getting green side, you said your mate's going, oh, good luck then now, or unlucky, you're putting yourself in a position where you're almost going to put so much pressure on your approach play, because, you know, if you don't hit the green or hit it in the right spot and you've got something then to go over, you cost yourself 2 or 3 shots potentially, yeah? So we've been getting that smaller setup, and then eventually over time, and you can do it on the driving range or on the golf course even, possibly a good chance if you go out of an evening sometimes a bit quiet, chuck a few balls down, maybe it's sort of 10 yards from the green, 20 yards from the green, 30 yards from the green with a wedge. I mean, just chuck one ball down and just chip it from the 30 yards back.
Fields around me, but the problem is the grass. So
exactly, yeah. You need to have it, yeah. So getting that strike there now, and then learning. So if I went back to here, that's 10 yards, 20, 30, 40. You're learning your length of backswings to how far the ball needs to go. And maybe next time you play, if it's just a fun social game of golf, almost intentionally miss greens and miss the spots to give yourself the chance to try these shots, yeah, in a live environment. If the score doesn't matter, for example, if you're playing a competition, obviously play normal, but if it's going to try and get us to practice, it's a social game of golf with your mates or whatever, or if you go have an evening one time, it's quiet, yeah, just hit a few golf balls down sort of short of the green or to the side of the green and just practice chipping. So narrower setup which is going to put you now left of the golf ball. So your low point now is more likely to be here as opposed to where it was before back here.
So I always try to keep full centre then.
No, it can move back and forward this shot. So you can move it back in the stance a bit more or forward in the stance. If you put it forward, it will go higher, but you will risk the chance of obviously thinning it. It's possible to do, and we'll talk about that in a second, a bit more sort of really, really high shots. You'll see the lob shots that these guys play. If you put the ball further forward, it will go higher, but you run the risk, obviously, of thinning it. So the lie's got to be pretty darn perfect, and the technique's got to be spot on, or your ability to do it, okay? So I would say, almost like the further back here we start, as long as I go back outside your right foot, the further back we start, the easier the shot's going to be. And as you can see, you can still get a bit of, I mean, you're getting sort of quite a high launch angle there from that ball position. Could we get it a bit higher? Yeah, we certainly could. Do we need to get it higher right now? Not at the moment. The ground's still soft enough to land on the green and not roll for
Yeah, I'm going to hit that
days.
30 ball and then try and get an average. I'll have
Yeah,
a look where the
yeah, exactly.
centre
Yeah,
is and
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so
try and get a good sort of
yeah.
dispersion. And like I said, just going back to that one, if you have them as unmentionables or a few funky shots, do some of those drills we talked about there. We sort of deliberately miss the club on the inside and actually practice it in different parts of the club. Yeah, if you hit 4 or 5 shots in a row like that shank or the bad shot, step away, change club, do something different. Yeah. Don't just keep standing there ingraining that fault. Yeah, all right. So yeah, so narrower stance, body's going to turn through. You're not letting that club sort of flip over. Now you're finishing with that club a bit more in front of you, so your arms aren't swinging through so far and adding too much sort of speed and power. I mean, you'll swing on this one here now. You went through there, but it's a bit kind of scoopier with your hands to try to get under it. Okay, whereas that one, then you can see your left hand's a bit more kind of on top.
It's nice when you see it. You can see
Yeah. Okay, mate. Very good.